Next to the phone line, Laverne, Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. Hi, Laverne.
Hello, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Good, thanks. I'm a first-time listener, and I listened to a couple of things you were talking about, so I thought I'd give you a call. My question has to do with the covenant, in particular the covenant that we are now living under. Can God break covenants?
Well, no. I think that would be a wrong way of stating it, but covenants are involved in terms of the covenant that God is making with people. And when God makes that covenant with a person, that covenant is such that if you obey my commandments, and this is the covenant he made with Israel when they went into the land, then you will live in that land peaceably, and you will be a light to the nations. But if you fail to keep my covenants and my commandments, then the land is going to spew you out like it spewed out the nations who were in the land before it. And so we see that while God gave the land to Israel, when Israel disobeyed, and this is true both of the southern kingdom as well as the northern kingdom, then they were exiled from the land because of their disobedience.
Okay, now, the reason I ask this is because there actually is a passage that I believe speaks specifically to it, and it's in Zechariah chapter 11, where God is actually speaking through Zechariah, and he specifically says, I will break my covenant that is made with all nations. That is one rendering, all nations, which is found in the New Living Translation. The King James Version says, with all people. So God specifically states that he will break this covenant. And in this passage, he's talking about 3 evil shepherds that he destroys in 1 month. And I believe when we read the book of Revelation that it's clear he's speaking about the beast, the false prophet, and the dragon. In, I believe it's Revelation 16, it speaks of 3 frogs coming out of the mouths, and these are 3 spirits, evil spirits coming out of the mouths of the false prophet, the dragon, and the beast. And then in chapter 19 and 20, it actually does describe God destroying first the beast and the false prophet, and then the dragon. So I believe from Zechariah chapter 11 that this is actually talking about breaking the new covenant that we are living under.
But isn't the whole context of Zechariah chapter 11 where he takes 2 staves?
Right.
One called favor, the other union. And
yes.
I pastored the flock in 1 month. I got rid of the 3 shepherds.
Yes.
Yeah. And then the flock detested me, and I grew weary of them and said, I will not be your shepherd. Let the dying die and the perishing perish. Let those who are left eat one another's flesh. Then I took my staff called favor and broke it, revoking the covenant I had made with all the nations. It was revoked on that day. And so the afflicted of the flock who were watching me knew that it was the word of the Lord. I told them, if you think it best, give me my pay, but if not, keep it. So they paid the 30 pieces of silver.
Yes.
So where do you get the correlation between that and the beast, the false prophet, and the dragon?
Well, because this is a prophecy. Like, at that point, there had been no covenant that had been made with all nations. So it couldn't have been speaking about any covenant at that point. So this is a prophecy that God is speaking through Zechariah.
One thing I do think is correct to say is that God breaks his covenant with apostate Israel, but God never breaks his covenant with true Israel. And true Israel is the full complement of God's people. It is the mystery of the gospel where the two become one, where all Israel is saved, all those who are genuinely sons of Abraham. Of course, not all are sons of Abraham. God could make out of stones sons of Abraham, Jesus makes clear. So we're talking not about an apostate people, but rather true Israel. But your point with respect to The correlation between Zechariah and Revelation is a point that should not be missed. Zechariah is reminding post-exilic Jews of the importance of their relationship to Yahweh, and he's exhorting them to finish, in the context of Zechariah, the building of the temple. So the book of Zechariah is characterized by vivid apocalyptic imagery containing messianic overtones, and much of that imagery is echoed by John in the book of Revelation. You think not only of the illustrations that you gave, but the two witnesses. They, in John's Revelation, though mentioned in Zechariah, John reworks them in his Revelation, and they preside in Revelation over the judgment and destruction of Jerusalem and the Second Temple. Why? Because this, once again, is apostate Israel, and they, therefore, are symbolic of the whole panoply of Hebrew prophets who pronounce judgment on Israel, again, apostate Israel. So we have to make a distinction between apostate Israel and true Israel. God never breaks his covenant with true Israel or with the church. Certainly, words like church, however, have to be defined because they are not univocal, they're equivocal. There are senses in which we can talk about an apostate church just as we can talk about an apostate Israel.